Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, had a long crooked nose, and flowing silver hair, beard, and mustache. Underneath the picture was the name Albus Dumbledore. "So this is Dumbledore," said Harry. "Don't tell me you never heard of Dumbledore," said Ron. "Can I have a frog?" "I might get a Agrippa, thanks." Harry turned over his card and read, "Albus Dumbledore, currently Headmaster of Hogwarts. Considered by many great wizard and modern time, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945 for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon blood, and he worked on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and tapping blowing." Harry turned the card back over and saw, to his astonishment, that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. "He's gone." "Well, you can't expect him to hang around all day," said Ron. "He'll be back. Now, I've got Morgana again. I've got about 6 of her. Do you want it? You can start collecting." Ron's eyes strayed the pile of chocolate frogs waiting to be unwrapped. "Help yourself," said Harry. "But in, the Muggle world, people just stay put in photos. Do they? What, they don't move at all?" Ron sounded amazed. "Weird." Harry stared at Dumbledore settled back into the picture on his card and gave him a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating. The frog then looked at the famous witch and wizard cards. But Harry couldn't keep his eyes off them. Soon he had not only Dumbledore and Morgana, but Hengist of Woodcroft, Elbrica, Bernins, Cecil, Porcelus, and Merlin. He finally tore his eyes away from the Doris Clarina, who was scratching her nose, to open a bag of Betty Bott's every flavor beans. "You want to be careful with those, Ron warned Harry. "When they say every flavor, they mean every flavor. You get all the alternate ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, but then you get spinach and liver and tripe. George reckons he had a booger flavor one once." Ron picked up a green bean, looked it carefully, and bit it in a corner. "Brr, sea sprouts." They had a good time eating the every flavor beans. Harry got toast, coconut, baked bean, strawberry, curry, grass, coffee, sardine, and was even brave enough to nibble the end of a funny grey one wouldn't touch, which turned out to be pepper. The countryside, now flying past the window, was becoming wilder. The neat fields had gone. Now there were woods, twisting rivers, and dark green hills. There was a knock on the door of their compartment, and the round-faced boy Harry had passed on platform 9 3/4 came in. He looked tearfully. "Sorry," he said, "but have you seen a Toad at all?" When they shook their hand, he wailed, "I've lost him. He keeps getting away from me." "He'll turn up," said Harry. "Yes," said the boy miserably. "Well, if you see him," he laughed, don't know why he's so bothered, said Ron. If I bought a toad, I'd lose it as quickly as I would. Mind you, I've brought Scabbers so I can talk. The rat was still snoozing on Ron's lap. He might have died, and you won't know the difference, said Ron in disgust. I tried to turn him in yellow yesterday to make it more interesting, but the spell didn't work. I'll show you now. He rummaged around his trunk and pulled out a very flattered-looking wand. It was chipped in places, and something white was glinting the hand. Unicorn's ear nearly poking out. Anyway, he had just raised his wand when the compartment door slid open again. The toadless boy was back, but this time he had a girl with him. She was already wearing her new Hogwarts robe. Has anyone seen a toad? Neville's lost one, she said. She had a ballsy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair, and rather large front teeth. We've already told them we haven't seen it, said Ron, but girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the wand in his hand. Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see it then. He sat down. Ron looked taken aback. All right, he cleared his throat. Sunshine's daisy bottom mellow, turn this stupid fat red yellow. He waved the wand, and nothing happened. Scabbers stayed grey and fast asleep. Are you sure that's the real spell? Said the girl. Well, it's not very good for it, is it? I've tried a few simple spells just for practice, and it all worked for me. Nobody in my family is magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got the letter, but I was ever so pleased. So, of course, I mean, that's where it's the best school of witchcraft here. I've learned all the course books by heart, of course. I just hope it will be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you? She said all this very fast. Harry looked at Ron and was relieved to see his stunned face. That he hadn't learned all the course books by heart either. I'm Ron Weasley, Ron muttered. Harry Potter, said Harry. Are you the really? Said Hermione. I know all about you. Of course, I got a few extra books for background reading, and your modern magical history and the rise and fall of the dark arts and Greek wizarding events the 20th century. Am I? Said Harry, feeling dazed. Goodness, didn't you know? I had found out everything I could if I was you, said Hermione. Do either of you know that house you'll be in? I've been asking around and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds the first the best. I heard Dumbledore himself was in it, but I suppose Ravenclaw would not be too bad. Anyway, we'd better go and look for Levis Sword. You two had better change, I'll expect we'll be there soon. And she left, taking the toadless boy with her. Whatever house I'm in, I hope she's not in it, said Ron. He threw his wand back into the trunk. Stupid spell, George gave it to me. But he knew it was dud. What house are your brothers in? Asked Harry. Gryffindor, said Ron. Gloom seemed to be settling on him again. Mom and Dad want it too. I don't know what they all say if I'm not. I don't suppose Ravenclaw would be too bad, but imagine if they put me in Slytherin. That's the house bold I'm in. You know who was in? Yes, said Ron. He flopped back into his seat, looking depressed. I think the end of Scabbers whisker a bit lighter," said Harry, trying to take Ron's mind off houses. "So what do your oldest brother do now that they've left anyway?" Harry was wondering what a wizard did once it finished the school. Surely the Hermione staying and studying dragons. "And Bill is at Fricka doing something for Gringotts," said Ron. "Did you hear about the Gringotts? It have been all the daily favorites. But I don't suppose you got it with the muggles. Someone tried to rob a high security vault." Harry stared. "Really? What happened to them?" "Nothing. That's why it's such a big news. They haven't been caught. My dad said it mustn't be a powerful dark wizard to get Gringotts, but they don't think they took anything. That's what's odd. 'Cause everyone gets scared when something like this happens in case you know who's behind it." Harry turned this news over in his mind. He was staring at a pickle of fear every time you know who was mentioned. He supposed this was all part of entering the magical world, but it had been a lot comforting double saying Voldemort without worrying. "What's your cricket team?" Ron asked. I don't know anyway." "What?" Ron looked dumbfounded. "Oh, you wait. It's the best game in the world." And he's off explaining all about the four balls and the position of 7 players, describing famous game he'd been to which his brother and the broomstick. He'd like to get it if he had the money. He was just talking Harry thought the finer points of the game when the compartment door slid open it again, but it wasn't Neville the toothless boy or Hermione Granger this time. 3 boys entered, and Harry recognized the middle one with the one at the Madame Malkin's drop shop. He was looking at Harry with a lot more interest than he'd shown back in Diagon Alley. "Is it truth?" he said. "They're saying all down in the train that Harry Potter in this compartment, so it's you, is it?" "Yes," said Harry. He was looking at the other boys. Both of them were thickest and looked extremely mean, standing on either side of the pale boy. They looked like bodyguards. "Oh, this is Crabbe and Goyle," said the pale boy, carelessly noticing where Harry was looking. "And my name is Malfoy, Draco Malfoy." Ron gave a side cough, which might have been hiding a singer. Draco Malfoy looked at him. "Think my name is funny, do you?" "No need to ask who you are. My father told me all of our Weasleys have their red hair, freckles, and more child than they can afford." He turned back to Harry. "You'll soon find out some wizarding families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there." He held out his hand to shake Harry's, but Harry didn't take it. "I think I can tell who's wrong for myself, thanks," he said coolly. Draco Malfoy didn't go red, but a pink tinge appeared in his pale cheeks. "I'd be careful if I was you, Potter," he said slowly. "Unless you are a bit politer, you'll go the same way as your parents. They didn't know what was good for them either. You hanging around with Raffles like the Weasleys and the Hagrid, and it will rub off on you." Both Harry and Ron stood up. "Said it again," Ron said. His face was red as his hair. "Oh, you're going to fight this, are you?" Malfoy sneered.